Hey YouTubers, how goes it? Gonna do a quick run through of my setup, my hybrid that I've got of using the Yamaha EAD and a mixture of a mixer and microphones to kind of capture all the additional stuff that I've got here. Apologize for any mess right here, and I will try to keep the video swaying as smooth as possible. But uh, real quick, just want to kind of go through my setup. Second half of the video will concentrate a little bit more on the EAD itself, but I've had enough people asking me how I connect my mixer and additional mics and stuff, and how I use the EAD to actually incorporate all this and make it a little more of a hybrid version. So, with that being said, we will go ahead and go forward, and hopefully it'll answer some of your guys' questions. So, as you can see, I have individual triggers on the two floor toms, the three rack toms, and one on my kick drum itself. So I'm running a total of 6 triggers going back to the EAD module back here. And again, I'll go into depth a little bit more on that here in a bit. If you notice, I am not using the hoop stereo mic that comes with the EAD, and the reason being is I'm actually using that port to run my overhead NT5 microphones. I've got a Beta 91 in the kick drum itself. I've got a Beta 56 there on the snare, Beta 52 underneath to kind of capture a little bit more of the depth. Underneath the gong drum, I have a D112 AKG, and then my mixing unit with a whole bunch of different things in the rack that I'm not really putting into full effect at the moment, but that is in place for when I actually mic up the entire kit and take away the triggers. So that will be stuff for the future, but itself. So let's get to the EAD itself and how I got it connected here. And apologies, I've got to watch my cords and stuff because I'm going to be tangling myself if I'm not careful. So with the EAD, I've got a dual TS splitter to a TRS single 1/4 inch male up there. So the TS females to the male 1/4 inch up there. And that is on the kick port 1 A, and what I've got on that is I got my first tom and second tom on that. Same splitter on channel 3. So I've got my third tom, and I believe, oh no, I take that back. So go back to the beginning, I've got kick drum, tom 1, and then on port 3 I've got tom 2 and tom 3. And then my 2 floor toms are individual, no splitters, going into 5 and 6 there. And like I said, port 1B is my one solo TRS or stereo into the unit. And all this piece is right here is just an extension from this patch cord length that I've got bundle here. And these are a TRS, so that's why it's a single cord. So it's a stereo signal going into here. And as you can see, one connection into the unit itself. This is everything out of my mixer. So my microphone I'm speaking on, any mics for the drum kit, all feeds off my mixer into this one. And it actually runs out of my mixer, I'll show you, on 2 separate channels, that are both mono. They get combined onto this cable here, and that's how I travel from the mixer over to the EAD with the stereo signal. So hopefully that kind of enlightens some individuals of how to set this stuff up. Now when you do this, you want to make sure you get into your EAD and you run your auto miking trigger setting and kind of play around a little bit, so that way it kind of helps set it. And then from there you can kind of dial it back in as far as how you want the differences to be between the trigger and the microphones. Biggest thing is you want to make sure you're not peaking the red light that goes off over here, and I've got it set pretty well to where it is not doing that. My master volume, as you see, I don't go any higher than that because as soon as I do, it actually starts causing feedback and stuff in the system, so you want to be very careful with that. The audio clicks so I can hear the volume and everything. That's set where it's at to actually kind of make it useful. Triggers itself, as you can see, trigger on all my drums are the only thing that are lit up. The effects and the reverb I have totally off. And that's only because I'm producing this so much signal coming in from the microphone itself. I don't want it to get intermixed with the unit and what it can do with its studio or compression or anything else. It caused some really weird issues and weird sounds. So keeping off that, that's the best way that I have been able to find minimize that as much as possible. But with this setup, I also am able to run my Roland through, to my mixer, and basically everything routed to the mixer and then back into the EAD unit with that one plug-in itself. I'll show you back here in the mixer what I've got. This is, so I run, let's see if you can see it here. Out of the headphone jack, I do take the audio feed out of the EAD so I can hear what's going on. And I run that into my channels 11 and 12. So since they're mono channels, that's where I got to split them for a stereo. So that's why I take up 2 channels. But my headphones comes into my mixer. I've got it turned off to where I can hear it through my headphones and the feed, but it will not actually go into the main mix itself that gets sent out. So it stops here just so for my sole purpose. That way, everything off the EAD with triggers and stuff, that comes from the main unit straight into the Rec N Share app itself and doesn't get intermixed, because then you're going to double up signal, and again, it causes some issues. So I do that just to kind of knock that down. Still be able to hear what I need to hear, but not add it into the mess of signal that's going back to the EAD. Again, out of the EAD, let's see what I've got going where. I've got my main headphones, or main output for, what is that, the headphones? What is that? Yes, so for my headphones, again, they're mono channels going out, so I got a left and right. Both those are going back to a little powered amp there. And I've got that, like I said, the 2 cables with a splitter to a TRS into the back, so that way I get my stereo signal out of that, and then from there is what feeds into my headphones or into my in-ear monitors. I use those KZ S10 Pros, and those actually provide awesome signal. Now, as far as everything coming into here and back out to the EAD, that's what these 2 are back here. Again, it's a Y splitter, so you've got a dual male quarter TS or mono that goes into a female TRS connection on the back, and that's where I jump on that one red cord that goes to the back side of the EAD and plugs into port 1B back there. That's my main feed out of my mixers, so what would be going towards your front of house or your speakers of the front of house, that's the same thing. So your main feed out of your mixer, you can run it all onto one cable, to be one cable to plug into the back over there, if that makes sense to people. That's how I get everything to produce and mix together, get over to that unit, and then out of that unit, I use a Firewire, about 10 foot in length. And of course I can't show you because I'm using the iPad itself to go on it, but it's a Firewire to a lightning plug-in. There's no adapters in between. It's just one straight cable, and I have not had any issue with that, knock on wood, since the time of actually having that itself. So recommendations, people that are having issues with adapters and trying to figure things out, eliminate the adapter. Get on Amazon or wherever, find yourself the MIDI cable or keyboard cable, whatever they end up labeling it as. Use one cable. Just get it all out of the way. Then you won't have to worry too much about any other issues with that. And again, this is by using Apple products. I can't really say too much for the Samsung and all the other stuff that's out there. I know there's been issues with other people, and some have been successful, some have not. Again, I'm just basing it off of, I'm using an Apple iPad and using it with the Yamaha, and this is what seems to be working out for me. Again, not any kind of expert by any means, but as I go through and continue to still dial this stuff in a little bit more, this is the way I've been finding out. It works out really well. And then I know some people have kind of questioned how come I have my triggers on my toms in the precarious places that they are. And the main reason being is I have all 3 of the high toms up on, or mounted on rims, to kind of get them the additional suspension there. And because those rims come, 2/3 way around the drums themselves, it limits me on where I can place those triggers. So that is why they are in the conspicuous places that they are on those. And then obviously floor toms are pretty easy and out of the way. Another little thing I guess I can add in here that I like to use is these drops right here, the different sizes. Quite often I'm using the biggest one on my gong pancake tom over here, or pancake drum. And then depending on the snare I'm using, I have the different sizes, the 40, 60, or 120 gram drops that I'll put on the top there, and just kind of help with a quick, I don't necessarily want to say muffling, but just kind of reduce some of that over-ring, kind of subdue that a little bit and get a more beautiful snare sound out of it. Definitely come in handy. The fact that you can just pick them off and throw them on there, within seconds, it definitely makes it worthwhile to really dial that stuff in. No sticky gels, no dollar store sticky hands, no gaff tape, none of that on there. No need for it by any means. But again, this is just kind of a hybrid setup for right now. Eventually, when I get to get a dedicated laptop that I can be running the program and stuff off of, I'll actually go through, mic everything up on the kit. I have mics for everything, but again, because I don't have the laptop and I'm limited on what I can do, this is how I have it set up to get all my feed into the EAD, and also make use of the Rec N Share app with this hybrid. So that way I've got triggers for everything I need, I've got mics for everything I need, and capture what I want. I guess I should say, so things I've added recently is I've got, and also SM57 on the hi-hat, and also underneath the ride cymbal. Those I've just added recently, and kind of playing around with getting those mixed in a little bit better on the whole setup. So again, if you count out how many mics I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm running 7 or 8 mics, including the one I'm talking on, 9 mics on the kit, plus everything, and virtually can run everything at the same time, with the exception of this vocal mic. I actually have to take something down in order to make use of the channel for the vocal mic, but again, it is what it is. You work with what you got and put that out there in the world. Again, I'm going to go back. Well, I've got about 5 minutes left and kind of concentrate a little bit more on the EAD. So I've got my EAD set up to where I've got a variety of different shell sounds up here. So I've got maple, I've got oak, birch, beech, what they categorize the rock kit, another maple one that I've dialed in a little bit differently, and a metal one so far. So I got plenty to be able to actually play around with and do what I want to do. One major feature that I know and a lot of people are kind of curious about is go to menu, the scene edit, and the instrument. And from there, if you scroll down, this will tell you, what you got the trigger as. And same thing, trigger, what trigger number it is out of it. If you go down in this instrument tune, that is where you change your pitch of your drums. So if you've got 3 toms like myself, you can put them all in there as high toms or medium toms or whatever. That is where you can actually go through and change the pitch up and down to get your different tones and stuff out of it, so you can get your differences between the different toms that are being triggered. Get a little bit more effective between what your high, your mid, and your low, and if you got a couple floor toms, you can get your separation stuff in there. So ideally, that is the category that you're going to want. That gives you room for so many different things here. And then if you back out, anything else underneath there, the voice and the effect and the volume, ideally that's where you want to go. So any changes that you make and you want to save, make sure you're hitting your store button and you are storing that, so that way it doesn't disappear on you, or you have to try to refigure out exactly what you've done. And anybody that's worked with it before who has played around and dialed in settings, I almost guarantee we've all went through and powered the thing off and forgot to hit that store button and had to go back and try to refigure what we did previous. So anyway, that is just a kind of a quick rundown what I've got. Again, a little peek for the future. So I've got mixing board there. I've got a 30 band EQ for future when I want to use that. Anything that requires phantom power, I've got this center here to be able to plug my mic straight into here, get the phantom power I need for that microphone, and then out to the board itself to plug in. I got power center here for all the units. If I can get this to zoom in or clear up a little bit. I've got this preamp here for my overheads, which does a really nice job and provides the phantom power needed for the overhead microphones. In the future, I've got 2 compressors. I got this compressor here and this one here at the bottom, for the kick drum, the gong drum, floor toms, high toms, rack toms and all that. Not really using them at the immediate moment, but again, when it comes to having microphones and everything, I can make use of that. And then here, I've got the two Focusrites. I've got the Sapphire Pro 40, and then I've got the Octo Pre down here on the bottom, so that way I can have all the channels needed that I need to have a FireWire out of the back of here. I believe it's FireWire. That would be going into my computer at that point in time, so I can load it up into a DAW and do my mixing and stuff. So I've already got that mounted on the rack. Real quick shout out to Griffin Products. Griffin actually is where I've got this rack from, and I love it because of the fact that it holds everything I possibly need. It's on wheels so I can move it around. This top holds a 16-channel mixer. And as you can see, it's got knobs on the side to where you can actually undo those, and you can have the mixer sitting level, or at an angle, whatever makes it easy. And we got a little extra depth. I'm using a little extra space here for this extra unit. Again, you don't necessarily have to use all the stuff that I have mounted in here, but in case you wanted to go that way. Only thing I would suggest is on this rack, it actually comes with a spacer bar at the very top to hold that on. I ended up removing mine because it was kind of getting in the way of my cable connection and stuff back over here. So I figured with this being bolted in the way it is on either side, it's secure enough. It holds everything that that bar. It's not missing anything, not being in there by any means. But I will say overall, a great product for the price of what it is. Really does a job of what I need. So big shout out to Griffin on that one. Again, the fact it's on wheels that I can roll it forward as I need to make adjustments, and I can roll it back out of the way. For the price, you really can't beat that. And it has some good weight to it, so it's one of those where, you set it somewhere, it's not going to go anywhere very easily. So, again, if you guys have any additional questions, message me, make comments on the YouTube channel underneath the video, and I will follow up with the best of what I can. But again, hopefully for the EAD users out there that are looking to try to figure out how to do some of this stuff, hopefully I've covered that. Again, if you have any questions, I know Simon is out there in the world, and he is very, very informative on what the EAD can do. And again, I'm not saying that what I'm doing is the correct way to make use of the EAD, but it is showing you an option and a route of how you can and what you can do with it. So, and there's my timer, so I'm going to let you guys go. You guys be good, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye.